What's up, everybody? I'm Candace. You're gonna hear video in the background. My boy is watching his own videos on YouTube. Um, Not sure if you've heard of FGTV, but that's what he's watching. And I'm gonna be drinking coffee, so you're probably not gonna like my coffee cup. There's a big middle finger on the bottom. Um, and I kind of look like crap. I'm sorry, but this is me. I don't do a whole lot with my own makeup or anything. I don't really have reason to, because all I do is clean and cook and take care of my boys. I live in Illinois. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot around here, especially in central Illinois where I live, and it's mostly cornfields. And I am most recently a newlywed, and I have two other kids. Unfortunately, they live with their father in Georgia. And some interesting things, though. I have very unique eyes. They are green, but they are a genetic thing that run in my family. And what they are is they change colors usually, but they are usually a bright green with a big burst of orange in the middle. I'll give you a close-up look I'm not sure how they're looking right now. But another interesting thing, unfortunately, I have this huge scar across my face that I got when I was 5. So that is one thing I'm sure somebody might have issues with in the film industry, because usually they're looking for flawless or whatever. But another interesting thing, I was born in California, but I was taken from my mother by my father when I was 2. I didn't meet my mom until I was 13, and at that point in time, I developed a very strong bond with my mother, and I grew farther and farther from my abusive father who raised me. But I've had quite an interesting life full of struggle, nothing but struggle, until most recently. My husband is a very big support of mine. My boy, he can go either way, I guess. But, yeah, I went skydiving this was almost 3 years ago. On the 29th, it'll be 3 years ago. I went skydiving for the first time, and it was my first time in a plane since I was 2 years old. And I jumped out of the plane. That was quite the rush. Most definitely. Everybody called me crazy for it, but you know what? That's one of my things. I decided to do something different each one of my birthdays to conquer a fear of mine. That was for my fear of planes and my fear of heights. The next year, I got my first tattoo, which it's actually 6 small tattoos on my lower back. Each one of the individual tattoos is supposed to come together to make one big tattoo as a symbol for my kids. The father of my child, my youngest child, my son, he has another son who I still call my boy. And one of the stars is a symbol for him. And unfortunately, one of the stars is a symbol for my son's father. And, it's very tough. I've dealt with the state. They took my kids from me, and I just finally got my son back a year ago. And it was a real big struggle for me. But now my husband has been with me throughout all of that struggle. He stood there with me. He went through all the stuff for the state, and he helped me get my boy back. Unfortunately, the state gave my girls to their father, who lives in Georgia. But, yeah, I mean, my life now could be considered normal. Whereas before, my life was nothing but chaos. I moved constantly. I was basically raised here in Illinois, but I went to Michigan to live with my mother for a period of time, back to Illinois, back to Michigan, and then to New York. And then from New York, I ended up in Georgia. I got arrested in Georgia for something that wasn't even my fault. And then I met new people down there. I didn't know anybody until after I got out of jail and had all these charges dropped. Spent 3 months of my life in jail in Georgia, and I knew nobody down there. And then I ended up in South Carolina, back in Georgia, and now I'm back here again in Illinois. I need to get out of Illinois. But, you know, that's some of the interesting things about my life. I deal with ADHD and OCD on a daily basis. I deal with my own bipolar issues, and I try to help my son to deal with his own. It's difficult from time to time. Why are you laughing? It's difficult from time to time, but we make it through. And I just hope that through this training I can do something big and actually do what I've always dreamed of doing. Oh. Yes, but I'm going to end this. Much love and peace to you all. Please, 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 just always keep a smile on your faces. You're all beautiful. Much love.